here. Good afternoon. This is the Parking Task Force meeting of February 20 here at the Senior Center. And as always, we try to encourage people to participate in the meetings and submit comments. So if you have comments, please let us know. Are there any announcements by the members of the board? Seeing none, how about the public? If none, then we'll go to the meetings of the minutes. The minutes of the meeting.
Minutes of the meeting.
So, and Wayne had shoved around what's called draft 2. And I've copied all these. Appreciate some feedback. Do you want copies of all these things sitting on your place setting here? Is that helpful?
I find it helpful.
Okay. I will continue to do that. Any comments on the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I have one minor correction.
Okay.
Under the category Marina Survey, first sentence, the survey was mailed out to holders of slip and mooring leases. Did not go out to those on the waiting list.
Oh, thank you.
I got one, so that's why I put it in. It was included in my mailing from my waiting list. There was a survey in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Maybe you've got a
stand
slip now.
Maybe I'm unique. Yeah, well, I'm number 5. I've been number 5 for 30 years. I mean,
I think the harbor master initiated that on his own.
maybe, yeah, maybe I'm just unique and I got stuff, but. That's it.
So what are we gonna do? Leave it alone?
They've already apparently gone out.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of that.
All right. Anything else? If not, I'll have a motion for the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we can go into the business survey. And what I thought we'd do is try to get through these surveys as best we can. We may not get to the final answer today on one or two of these, but we'll give it a go. The business survey, we introduced the idea to the Chamber of Commerce last week, and one person piped up that he'd be willing to help, and he has provided comments that seem pretty useful. So, Sheila, where are we on this?
So I'm bringing up SurveyMonkey that I have transferred some of these into. SurveyMonkey, after 10 questions, there is a fee, and SurveyMonkey is probably something, I'm not sure, does the town have access to SurveyMonkey, Dan?
We don't use it right now.
Do you, yeah, because it's $32, I think, for a month, or it might even be for a membership. So I didn't feel it was my job just to go in and do that and then say, can you give me my $32? But,
Well, I think Janet said that we could, if we need to, we could pay for it, but it's, I think it's up to 1,000 responses, is $32 a month, and then it steps up from there.
right, so it actually does make sense to do it this way because it does help you formulate your questions, and there is a lot of advice there that I haven't tapped into because I wasn't totally a member. But I'm going to bring this up for what I have. There's a draft in here that I want to show you. And, of course, my other computer died in the beginning of this, so
Well,
believe me, my frustration level has been high today.
We have somebody that wants to make a comment.
I have a
Okay.
quick question, comment, since Suzanne is here. Can any of these things like SurveyMonkey or even printing for the survey to go out be paid for by the beach fund? Any of the beach fund, beach parking fund, beach ticket?
Transfer at town meeting if you wanted to do it that way.
Well, even if it's only $32 a month?
Correct. Receipts reserved for appropriation and has to be appropriated at town meeting.
No free cash available?
I am not in charge of free cash, or the beach fund.
You're not? Okay,
I know how to get that money out of it, but it's not mine.
all right. All right, that's another
Well,
meeting.
I know the
Okay.
town's used SurveyMonkey before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was just wondering about any expenses that this committee incurs.
Well, since we were appointed by the selectmen, shouldn't it come out of their budget?
Does anybody know the password?
And you continue to enter that.
The
don't need
public Wi-Fi, you just go say yes, and then you hit.
I got it. Okay. Oh, now it says log in.
Just, if you go to Safari, but you're on.
If you want to go to the next item, then I'll come
Okay.
back when I have this up.
All right. Wayne, you pretty much ready to take on the beach permit?
Beach permit parking, yeah.
I have provided a copy of the last round that we had. I think it's called draft 4.
Yeah, you just want to go through his commentary, and
Yeah.
then Suzanne's also.
And
We originally started by telling the respondents that it was a confidential, the results remain confidential. We can certainly add that in, but I thought we were going to add at the end an optional email address, so maybe, and the fact that it comes back with the tax bills, is that considered confidential? Because I suppose it just gets separated and no one will know who came in from where, but maybe we can check with, Dan, is it confidential if someone sends a survey back with their tax bill? I could work on that with you, just to determine whether we should.
Not completely, because when it came into the office, we would know who it's from.
Right, okay.
So, I mean, we would have no intent of,
Right.
matching them up or anything like that, but we would know who it came from.
All right, so we can't really say that it is anonymous, but,
well, we can say it will be treated anonymously.
yeah, be treated confidential matter, right, okay.
And I'd have an email, an optional email if people want to give it.
Yes, yeah, that's gonna be at the bottom. Tell respondents how they learned about the results of the survey. That was on the original draft, and I took it off to shorten it. I can certainly add that back in. There was a statement at the end that basically said that, that everything will be tabulated, the results will be tabulated at the end of the season and, made available on our website, basically, in one paragraph. It's just getting to the point where it'll be 2 pages if we add too much. Yeah, we reduced the number of how did you qualify for a sticker, but I still added in the word assignment, which is someone that assigns it to you, and he seemed to think that was confusing. There's only 200 assignments a year, so I don't know, do we just take it out? Because people know that they got it by assignment, or?
It's consistently 200 a year.
Yeah,
And it really goes up.
right. So the question is, do we leave the word in or explain what assignment means? I think those that get it by assignment, it's not a mystery. And by putting it there, people will probably wonder, what is an assignment? So,
That's where I was.
yeah,
I'd
let's
ta-
take
I'd-
out the word assignment
Yep.
then.
And Suzanne commented on the number of choices there.
Right.
Do we need to even have question 1?
Excuse me?
Do we need to have question 1? I don't think we're going to sort data on that.
What was question 1? I'm sorry.
Question 1 is, how do you qualify for obtaining a Wellfleet?
Well, I thought we were trying to break down between, well, I guess that would be, residents and non-residents.
What would be the value of that?
I don't know, that's what I'm questioning. I'd take out question 1, just because we're controlling the distribution. We know where it's going, and
Yeah, but you don't know whether it's a resident taxpayer or non-resident taxpayer. I thought we wanted to get the information from them to see who was having the worst time getting spaces. They both qualify, but if you delete that, you don't know whether the non-resident taxpayers are having more difficult, because I think we're gonna find the non-residents are having a more difficult time, because a lot of residents don't go to the beach, or as often. That's
well,
my,
let's, I guess I'll leave it in for now and see how it plays in the end.
okay.
All right?
And then there was a talk about, he suggested having more than, we had the whole question that asked every beach what beach you went to, which ones you liked, and we ended up deleting that, because, again, for length. And thought that wasn't all that important, but I'm open to discussion on that, whether we add it back in or not.
Now that we're back on, where we are here, in regards to the Ocean Beach parking survey, I think if we added, renting, as far as question number one, qualified as a renter, because you would bring your lease and your information, and it may not be a summer resident, but they might be here a month or 2 weeks, so it's just another person.
Well, I was-
Though we probably won't be able to, all right, so they won't be part of this, I get that.
The original survey had 6 categories: the property owner, household member, renter, and the related people, non-resident employees, a trustee of an estate, active military personnel, and a registered voter. But I still think it's important to keep it as between the taxpayer, the residence taxpayer and the non-resident taxpayer, and if you want to add a category renter, but the renters would be buying them at the sticker shack, and that's not what this survey is going to be used for.
Now I understand that, so. My other comment was, I would ask, what is the beach, is there a particular beach you favor that you go to?
And that's
And you can put the 4 beaches, or 5, whatever, how many areas we have on top of the Ocean Beach. And then I would ask, how often were you unable to park?
Again, we're getting back to what we had in the original survey, which I'm glad to add back in, but,
I mean, I think it does just confirm that there is maybe more of a problem in one beach than another.
right.
If you specify their favorite and frequency, or,
Do you want to add back all 10 beaches and we had a no preference on top of that, or just focus on the Ocean View Drive beaches? Because this survey was geared towards, I think at one point he suggested including the ponds, and I think Suzanne mentioned the same, and that we thought that we weren't going to do anything about the ponds because we're never going to have a shuttle service to it, and we're never going to expand the parking lots there, so that we'd leave the ponds alone. I'm not sure if that still makes sense or not.
I would defer to you, Suzanne. If that's okay with everybody else.
I'm of two minds about the ponds. I mean, there are people who only go to the ponds, and then there's the fact that I don't want to highlight the ponds. And I think it would be simpler for people to think about Ocean Beach parking as a single train of thought, because you don't want too many sparkly things distracting them along the way. We're talking about the 4 ocean beaches. And since I sent the original memo to Denny yesterday, I took the time today to just redo the whole questionnaire the way I think it would be good. It's probably very close to what Wayne had in the beginning. Ended up with 11 questions, but there's probably one that can be jettisoned out of those. And I think that we have to I would ask you, please, to differentiate between people who qualify for resident stickers and people who come to buy visitor stickers. I think the visitor stickers can be done with a hard copy at the beach office, handed to them when they purchase their stickers. I don't think it requires online, I don't think it requires anything but an in-person, here's a short survey, please answer this for us.
And your staff would be okay identifying renters versus?
Oh, sure, absolutely, because we have a little information packet that we only give to people who buy visitor stickers. So the survey could be tucked right in it, and we could give an email address for responses. So I think that would be the simplest, cheapest way of getting responses from the 6,000 visitor stickers that we sell on an annual basis. If we can get 1,000 responses, we can call it a good day.
We may not get a lot of those until late July.
Oh, I would think if we got them asked them by October 1st, no later than October 1st, to send us their
To
responses.
return them?
Yeah,
So that then we could let them know how it worked out over that from the summer of 2019, and they could know before 2020 when they came back again. I think it's just do it too quickly, you're not going to be able to use the information as effectively. So I went back and forth. Do we need it at all? And if we're doing it as a resident sticker, we probably do need the subcategories that were in Wayne's first iteration that came directly from the eligibility rules and regulations. I did eliminate the town employee who qualifies for one sticker. Because I don't think, they often buy them because they think, oh, I'm going to come down every weekend, I'm going to go swimming in Wellfleet, and they do it twice. So I don't think that is something that we need to add, or you need to add. Question 2, I would like a question on age. So I created a scale, 18 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and so forth, and then 16 above, because I think you're going to get different responses to what do you do instead, depending on the age of the user group. 20-somethings will park, 2 miles away and hike to the beach. I don't think you're going to get that in the 30 and 40-somethings who have a young family and all the stuff that comes with a family.
Do you think you need all these categories?
In terms of age,
Yeah,
I do.
you couldn't go 30
But that's just my personal opinion.
30 to
That's,
49.
Now, should we add a clause, don't want to disclose, or just leave it blank that we know they don't want to disclose? I mean, you want to be nice?
they can lie.
I can lie too, yeah.
If they
Or
don't want
leave
to
it
say that they're
blank.
over 60, they can say they're 50 to 59. I mean,
Just leave it
I don't
blank.
care. But I think you're going to get a better sense
Okay.
with some kind of age question. And then on the next, I took the, how often did you find difficulty question? And I think that's a presupposition. They're thinking, well, how difficult was it for me? I don't want people to go into answering a question with a preconceived notion. So I changed the question to, how often did you park at an Ocean Beach in the summer of 2018? Which includes the information, I didn't go to the ocean beaches in 2018. And then how many times did you find the lot was full? Again, on a scale that gives people a chance to say, every single time I went, well, maybe that was 3 times in the summer. I'd like to know, or was it 25 times in the summer? I think that would be a, and then question 5 just reproduces in a slightly different form the questions that were already there, but it gives people a chance to rate their alternatives to how likely it would be that they would use them, which gives us a better idea of which ones are used. The preferred ocean beaches, I'm not sure if we need that question, but I put it in based on the feedback from, what's the gentleman's name from the chamber?
Bruce Catcher.
From Bruce. And then 7 and 8 are 2 questions made out of one, because you're really asking 2 pieces of information in one question. That's not an effective survey technique. Question 9, again, is part of that whole White Crest question. And 10 and 11, for instance, 11, we would never have to worry about asking that of the visitors, because they're not taxpayers, they're not supporting the shuttle. They could end with question 10 for visitors.
Yep.
And I also think that in terms of a shuttle taking people to Newcomb Hollow and McGuire's, when the free shuttle supplied by the Beachcomber for a short period of time took people to McGuire's, we had an uprising. They're bussing in all the thousands of people to McGuire's, and nobody else can get a spot on the beach. It's all those extra people. So you really need to reach out to the public and say, so how do you feel if you're already parked at Newcomb's or McGuire's about people being bussed in? And that is a question I didn't put here, but that's something, if you're talking to frequent beach users, that you need to check out, because maybe they'll think it's stupid. Maybe they will never want, even though they could use it, they still don't want it to exist. So I think that's a question. I'm not quite sure how to phrase that, but that's a question that should be asked, because the powers that be put something out, and then the kids in the parking lot get the pushback. So
Do you have practical limits at each beach of people who can be on the beach, or not really?
we never have figured that out. We use the parking lot of capacity as the staffing level requirements for putting people, lifeguards and beach guards out there.
Well, they just overflow onto National Seashore. Anyhow.
They do, because we only have 55 linear feet of beach at McGuire's, let's say. So if we only guarded the people who were within our property lines, and they say, sorry, you're on the seashore, you have to drown because, you know, we can't cross. That was the seashore's theory 2 years ago, but we've worked our way through that, past that.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any
The question
questions for
I-
Suzanne?
Okay, oh, you had that. I think it's, my thought, I guess last week we had talked about in regards to the people buying stickers at the sticker shack, the weeklies and all, is it would be, and I subsequently thought maybe it could be like a hard form of the questionnaire.
Exactly.
And while they're standing in line, or we have clipboards, they can fill it out
Right.
and drop it right off.
Right.
And then, maybe, I don't know.
If they brought their glasses, yeah.
Yeah, right,
Absolutely.
right. Well, yeah.
The
And if we wanna get
30-year-olds won't need the
We
glasses.
can put a short survey in large font on one piece of paper would probably work.
Yeah, well, then we don't need to know quite as much information, I guess. but
Exactly.
That would be
This is
reasonable.
more to the taxpayer point of view, because
Right.
they are the ones who support it through their user fees. And the visitors do too, through their user fees, so.
I just want to go through the remaining suggestions from the chambers. He suggests including South Wellfleet, the center of town, and I think we've discussed that that's not the focus of this particular survey. And we already talked about the ponds and the bay. And somewhere here, I thought he'd mentioned about mentioning the options there are. And I just don't think we should be recommending to people the things that people might not know about that other people do, so. Let them tell us what they do as an other, as opposed to suggesting whether they park at the pier or that.
Last summer, Don Reeves from PJ's came to us and asked us, please, don't encourage people to go look someplace else closer to Great Pond to park, because one of the things people were doing was parking at PJ's and then hiking up the hill. So I'd like to avoid imposing beachgoers on business owners. I don't think that's appropriate at all. And, Don actually hires people to work the parking lots and make sure the illegal parkers aren't, staying there, so. It's an expense.
You sure that's not a tip for the group?
Now, should we
Wayne, go
just
ahead.
proceed with the one that Suzanne has suggested and mark that one up if anyone wants to make any changes? Otherwise, I'd be glad to replace hers with mine, and this will be a manual. The only question I have, which might, if we get, say we get 1,000 responses, if we're lucky, well, maybe on the resident side, just as very likely, and unlikely is going to be a little laborious to tabulate, but manually, because we're not on a survey situation, but I think we can get over it.
I kind of like that.
I like the idea, it's just
Yeah.
tabulating it manually, but we're not doing an online survey, so we have no other option, so.
Well, I think that, I can't speak for the program, but there should be senior tax work-off volunteers who are happy to do something manually,
Okay,
save you the stuff, the tax bills.
Right.
It's available
so
to you.
so what, do you petition the selectmen to use them for that?
Now,
or-
you write out a job description for what you need and submit it to the town administrator.
Oh, all right.
And he approves it and submits it to the coordinator of the program.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, Wayne, I'm comfortable in using Suzanne's as the base, but I liked where we ended up on question 1, being resident and non-resident taxpayers being the difference, and then for the on-site survey, when people are buying their beach stickers, we can work on that a little more, but having some ID would be nice.
Would you like me to come up with a draft for your consideration?
Never turn it down, Suzanne.
Just under the question 1 again, you took out the employee, but what about the assignment? Is that considered a register? Where does assignment fit into this? Who am I?
You
First.
To assign a sticker.
I got it, okay.
So I think
But if I'm,
assignees are never going to see this form. This is either going to go to the taxpayers or to people buying visitor stickers.
okay, got it.
Okay. I understand your reason for question 2. I'd just try to have one fewer category. Yeah. Other people have,
Well, if this is going to, if they're gonna log into, say, a survey that's online, you can really have as many categories as you
But
want.
this
And
isn't,
each
this isn't online, it's going out with the tax bills only.
I understand, but what Suzanne was saying is that on that survey, they could have well, some may send it in, but some may log on to the survey. Here's the survey, or you can log on and complete this. It might be not bad to have it online. And then they can just check off, and it really does sort of get tabulated automatically within the structure of these surveys. I mean, that's, the only reason I think it's kind of good to have it on an online survey is that their analysis is built into, there is an analysis built in. So you have a percentage given to you, instead of us counting how many yeses or how many nos, or how many 30 to 39-year-old people were, so it might not be.
well, I'm a little hesitant to have 2 ways to take data from the
Yeah,
people answering
It would
the
have to be one,
questions.
that would have to be a decision, do it one way or the other.
I think,
Since you have time to think about that.
yeah, we do have time, but I think the consensus, well, it's been recommended to us, I think, in the earlier survey, that if you don't do it instantaneously, it doesn't get done, and if you ask them to put a stamp on something, it doesn't get done. And if you do online, people may not go there, that aren't, you're taking out the people that aren't technologically savvy, of which, a lot of our senior citizens probably aren't as savvy as some of the younger people. So,
I resent that.
I'm there too. I'm no puppy.
Protect. Any other feelings on, do we go 2 courses, or?
No, I don't. We should stick with one, I think.
I think we should stick with 1, and then the question becomes, do we want to have the people sign on to the Wellfleet website and go to the Survey Monkey?
On my original survey at the bottom, I also put in a clause, which we can add back in if there's room, that, if you want to make further commentary, just, go to our website and send us an email.
Yep.
We can add that back in. And then I also put a thing on there about attending our meetings, which I don't think we need to put on the survey, but maybe the results portion should be there. When will the results be permanent? And the other thing, I think we have to, at some point in time, we have to start advertising, maybe getting the press involved, that there's going to be a survey. So people aren't blindsided, what's this thing in the, obviously it's kind of straightforward when you open it up, but just get people to look for it and maybe fill it out.
Well, Wayne, you've been working on this the most.
Yep.
Do you have a feeling on
Well, I-
web-based versus paper?
I sort of went, I like the database because it's easier to tabulate, but I realize that we'll probably get more responses if we just have them stick it back in the mail. I think, if you put it back in with your tax bill and you're not asked to put another stamp on it, and given the option, if they do submit their taxes online, they can, I put on the bottom that they can, copy it and attach it to an email and PDF it to us, or however they want to do it, mail it to us themselves. So, you can't, I don't think you can't satisfy everybody. Everybody's got a different,
Yep.
but I think the majority of the people would probably be more likely to fill it out while they're paying their taxes and mail it back to us. But it's just a tabulation problem.
What about people whose taxes are taken care of by their mortgage holder?
That's a good question. Does the bill go to with us?
Still
To
get the bill.
tax holder or to the?
Still get a bill?
Still get the bill.
Tax bill goes to the bank, because the bank pays it for the mortgage holder.
Didn't think about that.
I believe you still
still get a copy of it personally.
You do, at least I do.
Yeah, I would imagine you have to.
mortgage, the taxes are paid by the bank. All right. And I get a copy of the taxes.
Yeah.
So they won't be mailing us back a check, so we have to think about that. I mean, it's possible to make the survey such that, I don't know if the town has a prepaid postage account. So it's postage paid, and they just mail it back, and we get billed based on the number of responses that come back.
I'm going to make a suggestion. So the reason I'm playing with this thing online is that we have emails to, the chamber has a list of their membership,
Right?
and we have pretty much a list from town. And I would say 85% of the businesses have a email listed with them on the town registration.
Yes.
So how I was perceiving this to be done is we complete a survey online. We send it to the chamber and ask them to send it to their members so that they can complete it and return it.
You're on business survey.
I understand, but, so, why, or would it be easier to send in with all of the non-resident and resident taxpayers? You can put a sample of the survey in there if you want, so that they know what they're gonna be logging into, but say, if you would like to complete this, we encourage you to complete this online. I mean, if you prefer to do it by hand, fine. But some people might be intimidated by doing it online. But if you would log in here, there comes up the survey, and they can just do it, and, it may not keep their anonymity, but you will get those responses, and maybe somehow we can blind the email from the response. However, it's that way if, there has been mention here of somehow validating that we have a statistical validity to what we're receiving back, so we actually have something that's concrete to look at. That might be the best way to do it, because it is there is sort of an analysis of this, like 70% say yes to this this question, 80% said no, you have, this many people of this many ages attending these beaches. These things are kind of interesting to know, especially if you're thinking about even, safety. Safety on the beach. So it's just just a comment.
Well, I think, from my perspective, I think I'd prefer to see us go to an online survey with the beach permit people. And I'm prepared to be voted down, no problem. But I just feel like we'll get a better response that way. If it's in the tax bill, says go to this site,
Yeah.
whatever. So-
Right, or you're gonna get taxed more next time. So there's a penalty, no. We
Well,
can
can-
threaten
no,
them
no.
somehow.
Other
Or
people-
encourage.
And if
Yeah.
you just say, we're thinking of having paid parking uptown, people will,
Yeah, that might motivate them
They
to
will
just
go
go
to the
right on
survey.
there and say, oh,
What was the motivating factor?
that we're gonna charge them
Oh,
parking.
yeah, no, I think that,
I mean, if we don't have your response, we're gonna just have to, go by our own wits here. And you don't want that to happen.
Well, this
won't
is
have a
really
big enough
about beach permits.
I know.
That's-
Well, permit.
excuse me?
Question,
This
yeah.
is really about permits,
Permits,
beach
this is for
permits.
the, people that are residents or taxpayers. Let's put it that way.
And I don't know about you all, but I bring my own taxes into town hall.
I do too, but I still can log on at home and go do my survey if I,
That's a point.
Well, give them the option. You can mail it in, you can drop it off, or you can go online. I mean, it's
Right.
just all we lose is the validation. People can
We
fill it
can-
out 3 times.
we
if
can
they
put it on the website. Here's your online surveys. Come right here.
Can you then voice your opinion 3 times?
Probably.
Yeah, sure. I
On
think
3
you could,
different surveys.
could do that now the way it is, because we're not asking for an email. We're not, before we were asking for a permit number, and we're no longer doing that.
They can go to the Xerox copy machine and vote.
I think there's.
I think we just realize that that's a weakness in the system, but I think getting larger amounts of data back rather than fewer amounts of data is more useful, so.
The other thing, just to question 6, I mean, what are your preferred ocean beaches? Should we say Ocean View Drive beaches, so people don't get upset that we don't mention the ones on the bayside, which are, what do they call them?
Bay
if that's-
beaches.
Oh. I thought ocean was ocean, all right. Right, that's it, okay, okay, I stand corrected, I'm just too new to town here, I guess. All right.
I mean, ultimately, I think this is really just for, if there's gonna be decisions made by the Board of Selectmen and the administrator, they have something to say. I mean, you know, we have some data here to back you up. It's not like you're just on the fly, like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that because we think it's time. You can just say, you know, it's indicating, and if it's not time now, we can see in the future, this is, so we have to really put some,
Well,
and I just think it's helpful.
we're on the line too.
Okay, that's true,
Yep,
that's true,
so-
but we're not the ultimate deciders,
I know.
decision makers with the final.
Now-
Okay.
Now, you, just getting back, in concept on the chamber, they use business monkey, Survey Monkey, or they use Constant Contact?
Sir, they were suggesting Survey Monkey.
Okay, so
Bruce
we'll use
was.
that for this one, too.
So that's,
Yeah.
and that's what I've been playing with.
Okay. And Dan, how many tax bills go out roughly? Is it 3,000, 4,000?
3,700.
How much?
Last time I had to do an insert, it was 3,700
30,
copies.
okay.
There you go.
I think, and I
Couple more.
personally think we should do it on some, and I'll pay for it if you have to, some flaming colored paper so it stands out. Or something.
That always happens in the tax bill.
Okay. Yeah.
So can we get a decision as to where we're going with this survey? How are we going to collect the data? 3
Right.
sources? Is that what I'm hearing?
Excuse me?
3 sources?
3 sources, yes. Mail it in, drop it in, and survey online.
Okay, everybody all right? Do I need a vote or anything? Or are we consensed? Okay, I'll say we're consensed in 3 ways. And then, so then we have to agree on the content of the survey.
And when do we have to have it done, Dan, to get it into the tax bill?
The select board is gonna vote on the tax inserts next Tuesday,
Ooh.
on the meeting of the 26th.
All right. So anybody want to form a subcommittee to finalize this, or should just do it all by email? Can we do that? Or finalize it now? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have somebody to knock it around. I mean, I've been doing this, and if we wanted to, you know, bring in, I mean, there's help things, and there's previously used questions, and there's recommended questions, and all of this other stuff that they can help you with here. But if we have someone who's done this a lot,
We already know that.
such as Mr. Ketchum,
Catcher.
he might, you know, give us an hour of his time, and we could sit down and say, what, you know, what do you think of these things? Because his, in his suggestions as far as the business, you know, it kind of broke down one question into 3 questions in a sense. But they were all,
Hang on, let's talk about beach
Okay.
permit.
so there is something about the content, about how you're wording the questions. That has to be considered.
Just very quickly, I was just talking to Janet. If you give the basic concept to the select board on the 26th and want to tweak it a little bit after that, that would not be a problem.
Okay.
So look at something like, say, about March 10th, maybe that you should have it in.
so it has to be submitted by this Friday to be on the agenda for
Yeah,
Monday.
just to give them an idea of what you're looking to do.
What's that?
It is on the agenda.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
good.
I have a question too for Suzanne, because I'm looking at the agenda, and Suzanne is also requesting a spring tax bill insert, so is Shellfish. Is that this one, or are you doing another tax insert, or what's your insert?
Nancy Chavetta and I are going to share one page, and because we're now able to order beach stickers online, which is one side, and then her shellfish information's on the other side.
And you're referring to like the
Nope,
3 inch?
full-size sheet folded in 3 is our answer.
So, isn't that gonna weigh too much?
I don't know what the weight requirements are.
We usually only do like 2 3 inch, business size envelope inserts.
Who stuffs them? Is it a third-party service? Is it a third-party service that does the stuffing?
No, you do it. I don't know who does it, I've never done one.
Tax work off.
Senior tax work, I've done.
We actually have now an outside vendor who
Wow.
inserts the bills and stuffs.
Okay.
There's a weight limit, because you're only allowed to use one postage stamp on a.
Well, so that's what I'm asking, is that I see, because the other week when we were here, usually you have, the business size envelope that the tax goes out in, and they're actually heavier too now, so that you'd have, the 3 by 10 inch.
Do
It's a number
we
10.
have up to an ounce, or because it's a business, it's less than an ounce?
Well, one tax bill goes in each envelope. If you happen to have two
Two.
tax bills, you get 2 envelopes.
I don't pay attention. So if you're doing a full page, front and back, what I recall, and I can check with who's ever doing them this year, but that there's a weight, there's a weight limit, so,
Well, ours will be 1 page at the moment, 2, front and back.
yeah, so
Unless
I actually worked on this survey also this week, and then I just saw everybody else working on it, so I didn't do it, but remember when I was saying it has to be folded like into a third?
Right.
And I didn't mean like the whole page would be folded into a third, I'm saying that there's like a section. But Suzanne, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to check the weight.
Okay.
So I'm not sure,
You'll find that an ounce is a lot of weight.
It is, but,
yeah, I don't know. And then you have to use really thin paper, I suppose,
yeah,
too.
I don't know,
So-
I don't know if they charge more to stuff more than 1 piece or not.
Well,
Dan.
sure, yeah,
The third
I'm
party.
sure they do. But that's not even, my point is that if it weighs too much,
Then we can't do it.
we can't do it. And
Put on tissue
I'm
paper.
not sure how important the shellfish and the, I vote for you guys to get your insert in, so I don't know.
Suzanne, what was your insert again? When's the shellfish? What's the topic of it? Is it,
Well, Nancy's giving information about recreational shellfish
Good.
permits.
Yeah.
And I was giving information on how to order your stickers online.
oh, okay, all right.
But would that have to be full-size paper on each side, full size on each?
I mean, she could do
I don't think that's the discussion here. I think we have to figure out what the weight can be and then weigh some stuff, and then we'll know.
We'll figure out the weight prior to Tuesday night when they have to decide.
That would be lovely.
Thank you.
You've done the sticker thing in the past, right? That we get,
We've never had stickers online before,
Oh, no.
because we didn't have the software for it.
Ah.
but you could send the stuff, you could mail it in.
Mail it, no more mail-ins.
Okay.
Stickers online or stand in line.
All right, so
You
we,
print your own sticker?
No, we mail them to you.
So it's not online.
Next year, the survey stuff.
You pay for them online, Dan, and order them online.
Okay,
Upload all your paperwork.
gotcha.
Credit card, debit card payment?
That's right.
Credit card, debit card payment?
MasterCard, Visa, or Discover, credit or debit.
Okay. So no more
so I guess we
checks.
have to be prepared for some people, they scan their survey back in and return it with their online
They could do that.
registration. Okay,
Well, let's try to get through this. Yeah.
all right.
So Wayne, how would you like to do this? If
Well,
you're gonna be,
I can just work from Suzanne's and modify it, and then work with someone to see if
You
we can,
want-
get-
you
I'm
want
sure we
us-
can get this on Survey Monkey. If not, I know I can do it on Constant Contacts format, and I'm pretty sure you can do it on Survey Monkey.
I'm sure you can do it on Survey Monkey.
Yeah, it's just, I think, one was a little easier to set up, at least from my perspective.
Well, we've got a guy who's willing to help us.
Right, and do you want, I guess, do you want to change the categories? Just go through it one more time. I think
Yep.
two's the same. Anyone note where they don't want to make changes, I guess? How often you go?
You're
Do you want-
using Suzanne's
Yeah,
format?
I'm using Suzanne's. 'cause
So
mine's-
question one is back to 2 choices. Resident, non-resident taxpayer?
I don't know. I thought we were going to leave all 6 of them or 7 of them.
Oh, okay. Just,
I don't,
My thought is if you're going to have people who live here year-round answer the survey, you need to provide it to the people who rent, which is why I put those rent year-round, who do not own property, but who work here, send their kids to school here, go to the beach here. I think that they need to be included in the survey, not just the people who pay taxes.
Okay, but doesn't that mean we have to add registered voter, because that's where that falls in?
Registered voter is number one.
Oh, okay, a little blind. Okay,
And this is a draft, you guys can
Yeah,
add or
yep.
delete to your heart's content, it was just my draft.
Well, appreciate it.
Can I suggest that we probably shouldn't send anything out on beach parking that isn't one that Suzanne is comfortable with? Because
Agreed.
it's her and the beach people, staff, who'll be getting whatever from this, because they're not going to be aware of us necessarily.
I agree with that concept.
So,
I have no editorial, I just tried to throw it together earlier, so.
So I will be at the selectmen's meeting on February 26th, and if the board has any questions about the survey or any changes, I'll be there. If they have a question, I'll be.
Okay.
okay.
I'll try to
Hopefully.
attend too, since I'm
Me
an
too.
author.
Mm.
Part author.
All right, so Wayne, which ones,
Age is okay, leave the categories.
okay?
How often do you go? Is that enough? I didn't go to,
How often did you go? Yeah.
should we just put I didn't go as the top one? So then, not that it matters that much. And the same with question 4, put never as the top one, so they don't, but. Fine with 5. 6, yep, good. Should we also put it behind Cahoon Hollow, to say the Beachcomber, because some people don't know what Cahoon Hollow is.
They
On
don't
what?
know it's Cahoon Hollow, they shouldn't be answering the survey.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you added
Yeah.
AKA
It's the
LeCount.
people on buses that might not know
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
Cahoon Hollow.
That's a whole other
They know.
ball of wax.
Did you park at Whitecrest Beach? I guess, yeah. Yeah. And everything else, I guess, is fine. Now, did we accomplish what
May I,
that Will wanted as far, we haven't asked a question about,
Well, I thought the table did that.
what? The table did
I
that?
thought the table did that, question 5.
Okay. But it,
so,
there were shuttles starting Whitecrest. Okay.
if I may make a comment, I have to say that, you know, doing this, I mean, I sort of did the first survey, and it was kind of, you know, I kind of came up with these things, and then now we're here, you know, and we haven't gone on to the business survey, and mine was focused on the businesses. So, and it's not easy, because you're trying to think of things, you're trying to make it brief, but you also want it to have some significance, each of these questions. Why am I asking this question, is what you're kind of dealing with when you're doing this. So I think it would be in our interest to have a little subcommittee. I'm happy to meet with Wayne and Mr. Ketchum, and if somebody else wants to jump in here just to kind of banter around. And there's also, once you're on these services, they give you suggestions, what to think about when you are, you know, how to tune that question to get what you're looking for. And it might just save us time here as opposed to approving every question that's on this piece of paper right now.
So then distribute the final results to everybody.
And then we can come back and say, does everything make sense here? Is there anything you want eliminated? Is there anything we didn't think about? And there it is. It's online, and you can print it out if you want and send it to people, or you can refer them to this website, to this email address, and they can do it. But I think, you know, it is tough doing it by yourself, and to kind of be editing here is, we're almost at 5 o'clock.
Wouldn't a subcommittee be subject to the open meeting law just as any larger group is?
Yes, it is.
Creates problems.
Well, we'd have to do it in an open area, so we'd have to meet in a public area. I mean, we couldn't meet down at the well or at somebody's house and do this, or we'd have to be,
I think it would have to be a public area, like the well or the
I mean, it could be posted.
The library.
Anybody could come and listen to us do it, but I think that's what the requirement is of public meeting, open meeting. That the public is aware of it and they have access to that meeting. So I think that would take care of the open meeting law requirement.
Well, I'm glad to participate if anyone else wants to.
And
but
I will
think we-
participate in it as well, and if there's a third person, and we'll contact Mr. Ketchum. Catcher, I'm sorry. See, I was,
But
quickly
we have to
confused me.
post how far in advance?
Pardon me, Mr. Catcher.
5 days, 4 days? 48 hours. So I would suggest the library, so if people, there are a lot of people who come, which I think we're going to be alone, but.
Not this week.
yeah, we can't do it this week. Or we could even do it in this
Oh, that's
back
right,
room
yeah.
here, or whatever, this, you know,
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, let's
I'm-
yeah, senior
if
center
we book
conference
that room
yeah.
ahead of time, we can do it.
Gonna book it.
I'm happy to put it on the forum or on the Facebook that that's what we're doing. It'll be on the website.
Have you played with SurveyMonkey yet?
I have it right here, I'm willing to show it to you.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
of what I
okay.
have on here so far.
All right, and that's for the business survey?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I was sort of editing my questions in regard, if we can move on to that for just a second, since we're,
Okay.
that's all right with you, Mr. Chair?
Maybe we'll make the subcommittee do both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do that, but I'm going to give you an idea of how it's kind of going with me.
Okay?
And I would, appreciate input while I'm doing it, so I think it would be good to have a little subcommittee. So in this, here's his suggestions that we have here, under business survey, and he said if the method, if you can contain, so he's saying if you can do it with the emails, he suggests doing it with something like SurveyMonkey. And the response method, if you conduct a mail survey, you have to include postage for a return, or you probably won't get a return. So he has these, and those are all factual points, I think. Feedback, so whatever, so you want to be able to show them the results, to go back to the people who responded so that they're, they haven't, I'd like to know what came out of a survey if I was participating in it, and maybe offer some sort of incentive, like an entry to a drawing if they complete the survey and supply their contact information, they get a free sticker. No, I'm not sure if I even want to do that. I don't think we have to give people candy or something because they completed it.
Be lifeguard for the day.
And if you want to have it anonymous, you can have it anonymous. These are his suggestions. So he would shorten up the front letter, as far as explaining what it is, and that's fine. And so he says, item number 1, the nature of your business. I would call it type of business, and only if you want this cross-tabulated, and I do think it makes some sense to cross-tabulate. So I put in type of business, so I put retail, and, he suggests you can say so many businesses and then include what that means. What does retail mean? So it says includes galleries, shops, and produce markets, restaurants, including food shacks and ice cream, hotels, inns, B&B, a service trade, which would include real estate, auto service, insurance company, and the like, et cetera. Social gathering, he suggested, and so I'm just playing with these, so you can tell me what you think. Social clubs, sports facility, which might be people who use the recreational field, or there's really not other sports facility here that I know of, or maybe the field's up here by the school in Chequesset. Oh, yes, excuse me, that's right. Was one of them. I included a church and library. Social club, sports facility, church, library, or other. Please specify. That's question number 1, right? This is all subject to change. Please indicate in which area your business is located. So he was kind of going by these, so your business location, these categories might work for you, but looking ahead to report to your selectmen, you might want to organize the results according to 3 primary areas of concern: beaches, around the town, pier area, or central business district. So that's what I did. I put downtown central district, and I put in parentheses Main Street, Briar Lane, and Commercial Street, within the town pier and Mayo Beach area, ocean beaches, or other. That's how I categorize those, as far as where is your business located.
Nobody's at the ocean beaches.
I did, well, there's the Beachcomber, And you might get a vendor, I don't know, you know. So, on number 3, he was, let's see. Item number 3, actually, several items should be numbered. This could be several items numbered separately. You might want to define by what you mean by private parking spaces. I suggest qualifying the question about adequacy by asking, is the number of spaces sufficient for employees during peak summer season? Is it the same for, you know, it's the same question, only you say, is it sufficient for customers? So I said, and then there's the zoning bylaw. So I started it by saying, because I'm trying to make it a logical progression, per zoning bylaw, are you required to provide a certain amount of vehicle spaces for employees and customers? Yes, no, or not aware.
That's fine.
Are you able to provide designated parking, vehicle parking for your employees and customers? Just yes, no. And if, you know, you can add on to these questions, so there's an add-on feature, and you can say, you know, if you answered yes, is the parking spaces provided to employees sufficient during the peak summer season? Yes, no, or other, please specify. If, you know, comment if you wish, there's a place for comment. Is the number of parking spaces, number 6, is the number of parking spaces provided for customers sufficient during peak summer season? Same thing, yes, no, comment, or comment, you know, other. And I got up to question 7 in here, and then the rest are sort of on the survey itself. If you do not have designated parking for employees, where do they park? So I'm thinking, right, I'm a shop downtown, so either my employees park at Town Hall, the Main Street lot across from Cape Cod 5 is how I put it, because it doesn't really belong, I mean, it's a municipal parking lot. Main Street itself, Main Street, the town pier, Mayo Beach lot, Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, South Wellfleet lot, these can be eliminated.
I
And other.
wouldn't put any private ones in there, like the Dunkin' Donut lot.
Oh, that's true, but some people might park there.
Yeah, but you don't
They
want
can
to
say other,
suggest.
but I don't want to ask.
Okay, then they'll say other. Okay, so I'll leave Dunkin' Donuts as other.
Just in general, don't do privates.
Okay. And that's as far as I got on it. But it does break it down nicely, it's easy, and it's just you know, it's not a lot of work, it goes pretty fast, and you're getting kind of specifics.
Can that be shared?
I tried to do that before I came, because I wanted to be able to, but I will try to share it later, and if you get it, you'll see it in your email box.
I agree with you, not identifying private, but I would give them the option of saying private lot, because that would identify those people businesses who rent spaces at the church lot. So if they rent spaces for their employees in a private lot, I think that might be helpful to know. One of the other things that I was thinking about as I was listening to your survey is, it's going to be, I've never used SurveyMonkey. I've done surveys there, but I've never used it to get results. And one of the things that you're going to be probably wanting to know at some point is, when you ask all of these various questions, you're going to want to think, okay, so somebody who is in the downtown area who does this, then does this. Or, you know, when we're talking about like an age group, we're going to say, okay, well, it appears that over a certain age group, this is the answers that we get.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of tabulating, which I am not sure how you do it, but if there's anything like SurveyMonkey or Constant Contact that does that type of tabulation for you, I think that would be very helpful.
So what you do is you
SurveyMonkey
assign a
does.
number to each of these responses. So like, even though it says town hall parking, we'll put a number 1 by that. So when the answers come in, there'll be so many 1s, so many 2s, and there is a way to have they'll help with that analysis. So I haven't gotten in there enough, but I think it is there.
I think Bruce Ketcher can help us with
Yes,
that.
I do too, because he probably is more familiar with it instead of me trying to
And I've done
learn by
those before.
online lesson. as they teach it to you as you're doing it, but if I had someone there, so we will invite him along and go along with his time. But I think it would be interesting to have this stuff, and, you know, and you can add on, you can have questions, follow questions, which can be a whole other thing, but that's why it's probably good just to buy the $32 membership, because then it's all available to you. And it doesn't, it feels like there's a lot of questions, but it goes by pretty quickly, you know, 20
Well,
questions.
I'd take a motion to establish a subcommittee and
Okay,
assign
I
to them,
second.
the responsibility of bringing back these 2 surveys. I would comment that we may have a subcommittee, but others may show up, and until we get to a quorum, it's not a problem.
Right.
So,
I second your motion,
okay, I'll make mine a motion, so.
yeah, of a subcommittee.
Yep. And now, who is on that subcommittee? Well, everybody want a subcommittee?
I'll be happy.
Anybody opposed?
Anybody else over here? No? Oh, good. Does that make a quorum?
Hang on,
I just said,
hang on, I'm asking the question about establishing a subcommittee.
Oh, pardon me.
I'm asking for a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? None, okay. Now, who is on that subcommittee?
I'll be happy to be on one.
I'd be on it.
Wayne said, is volunteered. So
I'll
we
be
can
on
only
it.
have 3?
Well, you have to have 2 there at a meeting. I'll make a motion that the 3 of you be the subcommittee.
Okay.
And we're doing both surveys.
Oh, we can have an
You're
alternate.
doing both surveys.
Right, doing both surveys.
Anybody can show up, it's a public
Oh,
meeting.
that's true.
And both are Survey Monkey with printed copies for distribution in the tax bills on the,
Okay.
That can be, that's our next, that can, once
So
it's done. we can-
there's a motion on the floor to have the 3 people assigned to the subcommittee. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any opposed? Nope. All right, so you guys take care of it.
Okay.
Could we define what take care of it actually is? What exactly is this subcommittee going to do?
They will come back with surveys ready
For
to,
which survey?
for the 2 surveys.
For the beach
For the
and,
beach will be the
Merchant.
triumvirate there of ways to distribute. And the merchants will be online. Be distributed by emails and responded to online.
and we can maybe even have both of them available online. We will come back with the draft at our next meeting.
Okay, but we,
and
that
I will
way
have
they're not
I'll have a
triggered.
draft of the beach one, parking permits, to Dan by Friday, just to get it on the selectmen's meeting, even though it's not the right one.
preliminary.
They already know that we're going to give them something, and that's
Okay.
what they're voting on.
Do we need the final form for Friday?
No, just the fact that they're going to say yes, that can be in the insert.
Fair enough.
All right. So we have all our marching orders here on these
Got it.
surveys? Do you want to give a short report on Harbor Master, Joe?
Well, all of the marina surveys went out, and I picked up the first batch of returns today, about 25. So I'll continue to pick those up into the early summer.
Do we know how many went out?
450 covering all the slip and mooring lease holders.
Okay.
I think there's, what, 300 to 400 on the waiting list between the various lists, or not? I think, you know, you get the $11 you pay. I know I was number 478 at one point, so I think it's dropped off from there.
I think it's dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Who should approach Dan about having someone help us tabulate, or is that too early? Do you want to start tabulating right away, or wait till we have a bulk? Tabulating the results, because that's a manual survey.
Okay. Well, at one time, Joe and Will offered to
Okay.
tabulate,
All right, good.
so,
And we've talked about that. We're fine with doing it.
okay,
We'll wait until we get a substantial number in.
okay.
How many did you say you've gotten so far, Joe?
450.
No, 25 back, okay.
All right.
20%?
So we've covered our surveys. Correspondence, I just put this subject matter on here just in case anything came in. Nothing's come in formally, but I did circulate to everybody some correspondence I had with Bruce Drucker. And it was just basically that expressing confidence in our ability. So, you've got it. I also had a telephone call from Fred Young, who went out to Yarmouth and looked at a beach lot, a parking area which services boats and beachgoers. And he was very impressed with the Seagull Beach in West Yarmouth. And so if anybody wants to look for it, see what's going on there.
I'm sorry, what was it that he was impressed with? That used to be my old beach.
Okay.
That's where my mother had her house.
Well, he was impressed with the signage and the differentiation of parking areas. And he said that one of the ways they differentiate the parking areas is with signs and with the color of the painted lines,
Okay.
which was a good idea.
Yeah, I haven't been out there for a couple of years, but it's a very nice beach.
I'll just, I guess somewhat related, but I'll pass out this. I copied out of the Cape Cod Times the article that was put in about Brewster looking into the beach settle
I saw
program,
that.
so if anybody wants to take a look at that.
Okay. Don't have anything else on outreach per se. I'd really like to get through this survey before we start worrying about going for outreaches. We'll respond as we need to, as we did with the Chamber of Commerce. We have our annual report on file, which is the basis of doing any discussions. The other thing that Bruce Drucker commented on was what I have called on page 2 of the agenda, the conclusions to date. He said that that was very helpful, and so we ought to pay attention to that as we go through. So if there are any more conclusions, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Anything else people want to talk about other than conclusions?
I guess just one thing, getting back to the survey, if we determine, we're not putting it on Survey Monkey now, or what are we doing?
We're going to discuss that at the subcommittee.
All right, okay.
But in all likelihood, the business survey will be on Survey Monkey.
Right, no, I
Yeah,
just
and we
got the rates here, so it's fine. All right.
Okay. These conclusions that I've listed here are ones that I come up with, and we've discussed some of them before, but I'd like to kind of keep a running tab. I would put on there that, for instance, maybe we're not concluded yet, but this business survey would be electronic, and that the beach permit would have the 3 courses.
I would second adding those to the conclusions, and I think it's extremely helpful because it tips off people as to where and ourselves as to where we're heading.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And what we have sort of agreed on, and
If you have others, please let me know. And we can talk them through.
Just back to maybe open discussion or topics, well, I guess there was talk of having additional security July 4th weekend this year. Is that still in the budget, or still being worked on? And how about the meters at White Crest? Is that something we could build into the articles if we start talking about?
Actually, there will not be meters, there will be kiosks where
Kiosks,
you
I meant, yeah.
put in your credit or debit card, pay for your parking, and then a receipt is printed out that you display on your dashboard.
So that's on the town meeting agenda to pay for it, or is it in your budget?
It's under Article 2, which is the transfer for fiscal 19, a transfer from the beach fund for $20,000 to fund those kiosks.
Great.
Super. And we've got that in number 5, we support in principle the beach administration proposal, blah, blah, to change Whitecrest.
And while I'm up here, I don't know where you are on your list, but I was asked to check with the Seashore and with Nauset Beach about their electronic signs. And one of the questions that I think was raised of whether people read the sign as either is open and got there and it was full and they had a problem with that, or vice versa. And the answer is they don't get, both entities reported very few complaints about the Nauset. They drive from Nauset Beach to Route 6 and get out and physically change the sign. At the Seashore, it's satellite-based communication, and they can change it on a laptop at headquarters. So they get calls from their beaches. So if we are going to do that in Wellfleet, I would really, really appreciate it if we could do the remote ones that I could change from my iPhone, or my beach manager could change from his iPhone.
That certainly makes sense, you know.
And it's a little more immediate.
Yeah. Did we cover that here in anywhere?
It was on a list of tasks from a couple of meetings ago.
Yes.
Right, yeah, it was. It
But we
was just,
haven't-
I guess the issue is we probably have to wait till next year before we determine whether that's needed, because we don't know what the impact of the sharks and all are gonna be on beach traffic, I don't know.
When and if it gets decided, I'm just a proponent of the remote.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Are we a proponent of the remote?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, yeah, it's no
All right.
sense doing it otherwise, I don't know.
I just want to throw out a statistic I heard from the Chamber of Commerce that's a good thing to keep in mind. 70% of people who go to the beach don't go in the water.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It might, so, well, some people just like to sit there and enjoy the ocean
Tabulated
and
that.
read their book,
They go to the beachcomber.
have their cocktail, you know, their little carry-on, you know.
All right, well, so pay attention to the conclusions when I put them out there, and
Okay.
and please send me some others that we've done, because it is nice to keep track of what we've done. Dale? Are you raising?
No, I mean, I'll bring it up now. I'm wondering, in view of our attendance at these meetings, I noticed that the FinCom meets in the smaller room, and they are televised as well. Would that be possible? Because this seems like a rather elaborate structure for not any particular reason, I guess. The attendance numbers, I guess, demonstrate the power of word of mouth.
Well,
they're
we haven't
watching on
charged
TV.
anything, we haven't suggested a fee yet.
Are they as remote there that you can swing and do everything you need to do to pick up the
It's
people?
pretty much fixed, but you know, it's more intimate, you can hear everyone quite clearly.
Yeah.
It's a thought.
We're looking-
You might look at the FinCom meetings and
We'll have to-
see, and we might want to consult our videographer.
Yep.
It might be easier.
The new gear they have, they can film pretty much anywhere. That's what Mia said.
It's like being in England.
There's no video at the police station, is there? There's no, you can't record meetings for town purposes at the new, no.
Okay. Next meeting, I am going to be here, so change my plans, not because of this meeting, my plans were changed.
That's too bad, huh?
Yep,
I'll be here.
I will be here,
all right.
and
Agenda
hopefully we'll
item,
have something
We'll have the-
unbelievable show online.
is there anybody we want to chase after to become, to make discussions with us?
I really think the Seashore should have at least one meeting where we can talk with them about how their situations work, how their group might be enforcing things for the large areas that really aren't controlled by our people.
Okay? Do you know anybody, or you want to chase them?
We could invite Lauren, well, we could just contact, the
Yeah,
the superintendent,
Yeah,
and
they
he'd
could
probably
send
have Lauren
who's
McCune,
appropriate,
or,
yeah.
All right, I'll contact the superintendent. How
yeah,
about
and he would, that would be great.
you want to?
I'm not sure, they might have someone designated in
Okay.
charge of beaches.
Yes.
Just, Dan put together a list of the people that aren't on the chamber's list that are business license holders, so I'll take that and copy it and make it available for our meeting next week.
Okay.
How many are on there, Dan?
There are 7
I
pages
didn't
here.
count. I mean, I just highlighted all the people who, this is the master list. Everyone who's highlighted is a chamber member, so.
What I'll do is
The master list comes from Town Hall, from
Yeah.
Jeannie Mack, and it is of the business licenses, and many people's email addresses are on there, so it would be
so
an
yellow
easy
is
convert.
our members or are not members?
They are.
They are.
Okay.
And may I ask, so at the chamber gathering last week, you undoubtedly extended an invitation for a liaison?
Yep.
Okay, I can see they jumped on it.
Not a liaison, I invited them to come to any meeting they want to. I don't know that I would be in favor of an official liaison. But yield to the committee here. I don't see, I think the chamber is very important, but there are other groups in town too, so.
Are you a chamber member?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's our liaison. I don't know what we're doing for you, Dan.
Will do.
Okay.
One other thing, I don't know if we have time here, but quickly note, one thing I noted from the violations that you had sent out a while ago.
Yes,
so
I'm glad
I
you
sort of
brought it up.
misread this thing. Our collection rate is actually a little better than I thought. It's 80%, I think, roughly, because there's a void, I assume, is someone challenges it and it's taken away, or?
It's either someone challenges and that challenge is granted, the appeal is granted, or the person writing the ticket miswrites it. But
Okay.
we have to account for the numerical consistency, so we turn in voids as well as tickets, and they're all entered.
Right. So I get,
We're not just ripping tickets up and people aren't getting.
not that there's a lot done, but I think the lowest, well, no, that's not true. I mean, there's a lot of the handicaps gets voided, I guess, because it's $300 fine. Yeah, okay.
One of the other things Fred mentioned about Yarmouth Beach there was how aggressively they tow cars that are in violation. I think we've got this out-of-state problem, as I understand it, and we ought to be thinking about how we can get more traction with those people, so.
It might be worthwhile to hire
Well, yeah, I mean,
a tow service that,
a tow service or
How would
Denver
that work?
boots are a pain in the neck.
we can talk to the town of Yarmouth, and, actually, I know a lot of people in the town of Yarmouth.
Okay.
Okay,
But
I'm
who
gonna put that on my
handles
list.
it? Once my car's towed, I'm notified where the tow lot is. Who handles all the payments of the fines and all that kind of stuff?
The tow lot does,
Yeah.
Tow lot?
You
So they
go in.
take a percentage of the,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Myself.
Well, actually, Yarmouth,
Parking lot to tell them.
I know, but actually,
That's a whole other,
Yarmouth tows them to Orleans.
Oh,
There's a service in Orleans where they take the
make it as
cars to.
inconvenient as possible.
We're just as close, aren't we?
Yeah,
I think
sure we
so.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Suzanne, those who refuse to make payment
oh, yeah.
on the parking ticket, they're refused a beach sticker the following year.
Looking at thinking my
If
PD.
they are in a car that is registered under their name, yes, they are. Most of the unpaid tickets are with rental vehicles.
Crafty.
Anything else? Motion?
And do you,
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Dale.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.